gentlemen, you are listening to Deathmatch Russell Podcast. Let's get it on! Come into the ring, step into the fire, see what you want, baby. If your heart has desire, get up, get knocked down, get up, get knocked down, get up, get knocked down, down, down. Deathmatch Russell Podcast, 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 Deathmatch Russell Podcast.
And good evening, everyone. You're listening to another.
You can find more Deathmatch Russell podcast.
There. Wait a minute. Hold up. Oh no, really? Come on. Why am I having goofball troubles every time I do this? There you go, fans. Just stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to another episode of the Deathmatch Russell Podcast. My guest at this time hails from the Championship Wrestling Memphis. Wrestling ring announcer Terrence Ward. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
So, man, I caught your eye on TikTok. That's how I found you. Yeah.
I might have blown up last week or this week sometime. I've lost track of time now.
You know what? I'm a fan of TikTok. You know, it's addicting. All right, it's an addiction that we have. You can pick up voices. You know, you could look at videos that are of how many things we see a day, the same kind of animals, monkeys, pets, monkey pets. What do you think of that? Is that ridiculous sometimes to see that on there?
Look, that's something I don't even want to conversate about. Like,
yeah, I see that all the time on there. I'm like, what? Why do you have a pet monkey? Okay, right? I don't know. Just people are spoiled, I guess.
If they've got the money and the time, God bless them. I don't.
Yeah. I don't either. I mean, maybe they could throw them in a wrestling ring, but you know, we already have one gorilla. Gorilla Monsoon, of course. You know, the great Gorilla Monsoon. So, what got you into wrestling? Let's start your adventures by what got you into wrestling.
Yeah. So, back in 1995. 95 or 94. I can't remember exactly. No, it was 95, actually. My late grandfather had a wrestling tape. It was of Slamboree 95, WCW. And I remember the main event was Macho Man Randy Savage, Ric Flair. His father, Popo Sr., was there in the crowd, ended up getting put in a figure 4 leg lock by Ric Flair. And I remember being a little kid just crying my eyes out because I seen that old man. I saw Randy's dad, and I thought, yeah, it's my grandpa in the ring there. I can't believe he's doing this to this old man. He's not a wrestler. And, it kind of served as the foundation introducing me to wrestling, which, fast forward,
Yes.
growing up, I learned that I had 2 uncles and a cousin that are in the independent wrestling scene. So it became a family affair pretty quickly.
That's cool. And then what was your first event going to? What was your boy?
Yeah.
That's like always.
I remember so vaguely, so young, in fact, I don't remember the promotion's name, where it was at, but it was my uncle, who's known here in Northeast Arkansas as Dirty Little Dave, always having bouts with the superstar Bill Dundee and any of the local federations that are here.
Okay.
I remember seeing him in that match, and of course, being a young kid, not being smart to the business, not knowing the ins and outs of the squared circle. Of course, let my emotions go run high. My uncle's in there getting crap beat out of him. If you're a young nephew or a young niece, you're probably getting a little upset.
Yeah, you got to sit there and watch wrestling. You're like, okay, this is what it's about. But it was wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting fanfare, and the one I do remember truly was, I believe it was 2000 and I want to say 2000. 2001, maybe 2002. It was in my hometown at the National Guard Armory. It was the promotion I would end up working for 7 years later. And it was interesting because many of the guys who were just starting to wrestle then, I work with at Championship Wrestling from Memphis. I've worked with in several promotions. So
Yeah.
I think that was probably the earliest full show I remember.
Yeah. And then, later in that time, going to see other wrestling like WWF or, like house show WWE or,
Yeah. So when it comes to the WWE, the first actual WWE event that I watched, bought a ticket, was a house show in 2012. And it, just up to that point, I grew up in a family where we didn't go on a lot of those kind of spectacles, concerts.
Yeah.
My wife grew up differently,
Money.
Yeah. Here in Northeast Arkansas, you don't really see a lot of people with money here. It's mainly farmers who generally have, a livable income. So that was the first time I actually got to go to a wrestling show, which the one I actually went to that was televised was Impact, and I actually was taking pictures for that show there at ringside.
Oh, cool.
So that was a little gem that I enjoy and keep as a keepsake to remind me, just kind of how far.
Well, you know what? I got a keepsake too. Here you go. WrestleMania 5, Atlantic City.
Holy cow!
Me and my father. That is
awesome.
I always tell a story how we're sitting up in the nosebleeds. My dad got tickets for WrestleMania. I was a kid, excited. I had the poster, the Mega Powers Explode poster, and Hogan, Savage were my big Mega Powers. But 5 rows away was Gorilla Monsoon on commentary and Jesse the Body Ventura. How cool was that? And look down, looking down, way down, and hearing the thump of that ring with the microphone, under it. My gosh, it was the atmosphere,
Yeah, a golden age of wrestling for sure.
Yeah. And then, fast forward, go to all the local indie shows or WWE house shows and, Impact, of course, Ring of Honor, whenever Ring of Honor was popular and, Jersey All Pro Wrestling and just like a lot of independent wrestling. But the one wrestling federation, I got to see Bruiser Brody.
Oh, wow.
The NWF Wrestling.
National Wrestling Federation? Yeah, I think I know.
Yes. Yeah, with Inside a Steel Cage versus Bruiser versus Chief Jay Strongbow.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so it was like an era, but actually, what was really cool, Dr. D. David Schultz was on that card as well.
Goodness! Now he also Steve the Redneck was also right.
yeah, and the Fantastics and Abdullah the Butch, but it was a school night. I missed seeing him, but oh well. Hey, you're a little kid, you can't be everywhere. Watch
That's
everything,
exactly right.
But wrestling was, wrestling in the mid '80s was like just booming in New Jersey, because we did have the wrestling school by Iron Mike Sharp. The promotion, Iron Mike Sharp, the wrestler from Canada, ran a school and wrestlers were coming in and out, which was crazy. For $5, I'd go on the weekend. I watch X-Pac wrestle as the 1, 2, 3 kid.
Yeah, you can't find many of the big stars for $5 wrestling.
No, but then fast forward, in the '90s, is the guy's brother. Well, actually, superstar Nova from ECW. His brother actually ran a promotion, Phoenix Championship Wrestling, that ran in the mid '90s. Really took off with all the superstars. You name it, they were all there. Just like to Karina, to just every kind of wrestler you would think of.
Yeah, I remember. It's interesting. I remember being a kid watching. I was a diehard wrestling fan growing up in the sense that I never missed a Monday night show. And the one Monday night show I missed because I switched from WCW at about the time that they did the stage change. So it was right in there when the Attitude Era was really kind of getting in full swing. The McMahon and Austin feud was, high gear. And I remember we went on vacation, my two parents who divorced now, but we went to Nashville for vacation. and it was Monday night. We didn't get back to the hotel until like 9:45, 9:50 something. And I remember that specific time because it was towards the end of the broadcast. It was March of 2001 when WCW's last broadcast was on TNT, and I didn't realize then that WCW, that was their last broadcast, because I'd been watching WWE up to that point, didn't know what was going on. And I see Vince McMahon mentioning WCW, and I'm like, oh, hey, well, wait a minute, because that hadn't happened up to that point. He had not mentioned WCW. And so I'm sitting here watching this. My mom tells me to turn off the TV. It's time to go to bed. I was so mad and so upset because the next Monday night they did a recap before the show started about the purchase of WCW. And I was so mad because it's like I missed that iconic moment in history where Shane McMahon's on Nitro, Vince McMahon's on Monday Night Raw, and the Invasion angles starting. So that was, I'm not mad at her anymore, obviously, but as a kid,
right.
so upset.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I got so lucky too, also Christmas time. I remember when Sunday Night Heat came around. Remember Sunday Night Heat?
Yep.
When that was, they had their shop in, this restaurant in New York City was so popular. My sister and I wandered in there, and actually it was a taping. They said, hey, you want to be on TV tonight? Okay. I didn't realize worldwide. Taz, Michael Cole, I'm standing behind Michael Cole and Taz during the Austin Booker T in North Supermarket match in Charlotte, North Carolina. They were doing the Ric Flair, I believe. Big Show was in the ring. Chuck Colombo, just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I'm on TV cutting promos, hanging out with Taz, and just like,
and now
yeah.
Yeah, and now Taz is on AEW. It's amazing to see him bounce from those promotions and still reinventing himself and being relevant even today with the transition.
Yeah, big ups to everybody that's doing good. It's amazing. Good promotion. I would like to, when they come. Actually, I was looking at the calendar. They're coming around, so I'll try to get there when they come around this way. Yeah. I think they sell me a ticket. I definitely would go.
Oh, absolutely. They could invite me and call me and say, hey, would you like to come watch? And they could pay me and I'd come watch.
Yeah, right. I have so many friends who are on it. Hey, Joey, Janelle, you listening? Marco, you listening? No, just all these guys just doing their thing in the ring, but it's amazing, man. Did you watch last night's or catch it?
I caught the first part of it.
Yeah.
And I was live on TikTok throughout the whole duration because I was recording TikToks for the week.
Yeah.
And right. I missed the Nick Gage and Chris Jericho match, which I don't know. I guess I've never really been a fan of like the death matches. Not discrediting either one. It's just not.
Oh no, it's an art.
Yeah,
it's an art. It's an art. That's how people say it.
But the crowd loved it, and you can't deny that. I mean, if the fans enjoy it, the fans want to see it. That's awesome. Anything to help boost those ratings that the fans will enjoy, that provides.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll listen to this. My friend, the announcer MLJ, who does his actually tweeted it out to make sure Justin Roberts did it the right way. You know what I mean? He wanted to make sure he didn't leave anything out, but they said Nick Gage all day. You know what I mean? You can't say all the other stuff really, have to censor it all, but they got it right. Justin got it right though, which was pretty on. So check that out later,
Yeah. I tried to go back and watch the match, and I guess TNT ran a little late on the live feed past the 10 o'clock hour. And so it cut off. So the replay, all I get is that cut off at 10 o'clock. So I missed the other part of that match, which I'll have to just go find on social or on AEW's.
But besides that, all the other matches were great that night. I mean, fantastic matches. Lance Archer and just everybody, there's a guy who's really...
Fun fact, if I can interrupt here for a second.
No,
Lance
absolutely.
Archer is going to be on our television program, Championship Wrestling from Memphis, this Saturday at high noon. He was a guest of our show and did a live meet and greet there with his IW. Well, I don't think it was the.
Was it an IW?
I think it was the IWGP title, but it was crazy to see how many fans packed that television studio. I mean, it was walls were lined up for this show, and they were loud. And Memphis showed out. And Lance is just I remember when he was going by Lance Hoyt, and he was working for TCW there in Arkansas, and was a part of their regular roster, which he's still going different places. He wasn't just with one promotion, but he has just really turned into a machine for AEW, and is an incredible performer, incredible professional as well.
People like him need to be seen elsewhere. Just got to be gold. These guys they really got to branch out. I mean, they're allowed to do that. Go to wrestle for different promotions. But they need to be seen. Like, fans need to see who these guys really are. Yeah. But for like a guy like him, I mean, him and Moxley, John Moxley. I mean, look at that. Like, really, like their angle was perfect for, what they were working towards for, the build up, for the title. And now it's some Japanese guy, and Lance is going to try to prove himself to him. That'll be interesting.
So one of the things I do want to mention too, from the show, I believe it was, because he had the IWGP title on the line, if I remember correctly, yesterday. I can't remember the guy's name that he was taking on now, because I caught bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. Brain fart. I know.
Yeah. All the time, especially when you have ADD, things happen. Shiny object, train of thought.
I hear you.
Close up. We'll come back to that if I remember.
Yeah, but also to see, Thunder Rosa. Let's talk about ladies too. We can't leave ladies out of wrestling. We gotta mix them into because that's what it's all about too. Ladies division, in wrestling anywhere. Really, you think about it.
And for the longest time, I don't know if it was so much because I'd gotten used to seeing the Divas action that I just really didn't. And this is not to be taken in a wrong way, but it just kind of steered me away from watching women's wrestling. But with AEW and a lot of promotions starting to go back to the focus of female athletes and really showing off their style of wrestling, the athleticism that they all have, the promotional skills that they have, that's really kind of steered me back into watching the women's divisions of any promotion, including Championship Wrestling for Memphis.
Let me see. I was going to ask you, has anybody been through the door? Has anybody come through the doors that I've probably recognized and seen somewhere, maybe anywhere?
So as far as female performers, we've had a couple from our sister promotions over there out west. We've had, I know our previous episode, we had Heather Monroe. I think she'll be back on the program this Saturday. The Killer Bay, phenomenal on the microphone, phenomenal in the ring. And I look forward to the day that she is headlining on one of the major companies, either AEW, even with Impact or Ring of Honor, somewhere else that she can transition to make this a full-time job for her. And it may already be, but from a contractual basis, full-time job. Because she's amazing, absolutely amazing. And so are the talent there, the rest of the roster. Got some amazing female competitors that, just watching the women's division, the Gauntlet for Gold, to name the first women's Memphis wrestling champion. And, watching those gals go in and compete was like clockwork. It was like a well-oiled machine, watching those matches and watching those pinfalls. And I'm really excited to see the direction it's going to turn and just how much more competition and how many more guests are going to come in and try to take the gold away from the reigning champion.
Yeah, because there's a long line. There's a long line of girls that want it, female talent. And what about the men's talent? How's your guys? I looked at some of the guys. I'm like, wow, these guys are pretty.
So I'll give you a quick rundown. A lot of the guys that are on our roster and gals included have worked with in a non-contractual basis with the WWE or AEW or Impact in some form or fashion. Alan Steele has worked with the WWE in the past. Derek King was a part of the developmental territory when it was Power Pro Wrestling back in Memphis. I know Austin Lane has had some opportunities to worked some dark matches there with Impact, and has worked backstage with the WWE and some extra roles. Just so many of these guys and
That's good
gals.
though.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like Game Changer Wrestling. We like everybody you see is Lee Mayanori, all these guys. You just name it. Marco Stunt came back and killed it at Homecoming. Just like the surprise.
Yeah, there's one guy that I will mention, and he'd be upset if I didn't mention him. I'm sure he'd give me a hard time.
No.
At least. Dustin Starr, the host, one of the hosts, him and his wife Maria host the show. Dustin was an actual signed WWE developmental star. He was down in Florida, was under contract for a year in the developmental territory, and really learned a lot. And I knew Dustin prior to that. We worked on a television show together back in 2009 to 2011 range. And so when he got signed, it was like huge for us, regardless if you liked him or not, personal feelings aside, it was huge because, for the longest time, we didn't see very many guys from the Memphis area. I say Memphis as a whole, the surrounding states as well. We just didn't see that happening, because Memphis had kind of dried up, it seemed like, after the territories broke down and the developmental left the Memphis area. But even shifting over to the tag teams, we've had a few of our tag team competitors, the Crowleys, for example. Jackson has wrestled on AEW Dark. Phenomenal performer. And I remember in 2007, the first time I saw him, I wasn't really impressed, but it just goes to show you hard work, man. Hard work
pays off. I know.
Yes.
It really is. I mean, it's like Joey Janela or like Sonny Kiss, or just like you name anybody off these, like just like these hometown people just wrestled for their local companies. Actually, Joey, I remember watching him at 16 years old wrestling for a Carney promotion. Okay, and he just got his foot where he opened his mouth or just did what he ought to do to get to be where he is.
Yeah,
and just and a lot of these other talents too, like Azriel. They had a guy, Azriel. Man, that guy's talented. He's been everywhere. Like, he needs to get signed. All these people just need to get signed. One of these days it'll happen.
Yeah, and the one thing I do want to mention too, for anybody listening, whether you're a wrestling fan or your talent, one thing to keep in mind when we know the old school way of get a tape together, send your tape in, make sure that people are getting you, send in some promotional pictures. With social media, what I do for full time outside of the world of wrestling is social media. I work for a company up in there in the Northeast that manages the number one retailer's social media accounts, and I manage about 1,304 stores where I'm at. So when it comes to social media, and it is so important that if you're a professional wrestler, if you're a referee, a manager, an announcer,
podcaster,
you need to be invested in social media, because everybody has access to that. Everybody has the same voice. Everybody has the same reach. I don't care if you've got 1 million followers or 1 follower. You have the same potential to reach the person that matters. And if you're not building your personal brand, if you're not out there showing off your talent to the world, you're going to miss an opportunity. Big time. And we see the drama. We see what unfolds on TikTok, the drama and the stories. They have their faults, Leo Rush screwed up, this guy screwed up, this person screwed up, they just open up their mouth on just to be a hot shot, And I would discourage that too. Now there's a difference between there's a difference between if you're going to create a personal brand page for your persona, the character that you're portraying. That's one thing to keep it in that role. But if you're going to encompass it as a personal brand, as you yourself, with bits and pieces of your persona, your wrestling persona, your other personas from elsewhere,
it's like Matt Cardone right now. Like, he's still like promoting himself, like MD Cardone, like now he's mimicking Nick Gage's product, and just to get attention. Yeah,
and there's an old saying that any news is good news, any exposure is good exposure, which in the world
we see a lot. We see a lot of it. We see it. We see it a lot of it. And behind wrestling, we learn a lot of it. We learn a lot. Behind closed doors. I've seen it, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's like, wow, this is ridiculous. I've seen robberies. I've seen this. The wallets getting stolen out of the locker room, gear bags stolen. Like that's the the stuff that people need to grow up and just take belts away from people. Come on, you don't do that. You don't do hide their merch or take this and that. It's always one of those things. But fess up and be a man, be a person, just do your job and wrestle.
Absolutely, that's what you're getting paid to do is a job. Entertain the fans and do what the promoter asks you to do.
Terrence, let me ask you this: what got you into ring announcing? What got you started? What got you hooked to where you are today? I
had an interesting conversation with a follower on TikTok last night about the exact same thing. And was it you that asked that?
No, probably was. I don't know. Were you live? I probably.
Probably. So I was. Back in 2006, when I broke into the business, I was a camera guy. I mean, that's literally what I did. The promoter enjoyed my work for a one-night show that I volunteered to help out. It was a fundraiser, and it's like, hey, I need a camera guy. Would you be willing to do this? And of course, I wanted to get into wrestling. I knew what the long-term goal was. JR Jim Ross is a huge inspiration for me, and somebody I would love to have as mentor. Even bought his book. Under the Black Hat, which not a promo here, but buy it and read it. You want to talk?
Go ahead, go log on Amazon and buy one today. Everywhere,
He'll even include an autograph with it. So, but going back, he was
or a bottle of barbecue sauce.
Shoot, yeah. Shameless plug.
Yeah,
JR, you can contact me at the handle on the screen. I'd be glad to promote some of your items. He really, just listening to him and Jerry the King Lawler on Monday nights, Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay, Bobby the Brain Heenan, listening to those guys, I knew that that's long term what I wanted to do. And it just kind of transitioned. About a year later, I went to the promoter. I was like, hey, I want to do this. I want to announce. I want to ring announce. I want to do commentary, whatever. I want to be behind the stick at some point. And he was like, okay, well, I'll think about it. And I bugged the crap out of him for weeks until finally.
That's good.
Finally, Finally, I had the opportunity. One of the commentators was sick, couldn't make it. So here I am in non-announcer appropriate clothing because I was expecting to operate the camera. I wasn't going to dress up. And so I'm sitting there and I'm not going to tell you what I was wearing, but I barely said anything that whole night. I froze up, was just stricken with stage fright. I'd never done it before.
Yeah.
It was the best learning experience ever. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And fast forward, I'm learning, I'm meeting so many other great performers, those who have reached the pinnacle of those contracts with the WWE, WCW, and getting to absorb and listen to those conversations of what's right, what's wrong. I was loyal to a fault with that promotion, which cost me some bookings and some friendships that thankfully have been repaired long term. Very close to some of those individuals now. And I knew that I wanted to expand that reach. And I get a phone call in 2009. A TV commentator, there was a regional television program there in West Memphis that was going on, and one of the commentators was leaving. Brian Thompson, I think, was who I was replacing. He managed beautiful Bobby Eaton there for a little while with Greg Anthony here in the Mid-South. And Brian, I guess, I don't remember. I think it was Brian who actually brought up my name to the promoter at the time. And I got the phone call and was like, yeah, of course. It's television. Of course I want to do this. So I get there and I'm there for a couple of years. The promotion, unfortunately, goes defunct and closes down, and transition to ring announcing. And it wasn't something that I really wanted to do because I'd had that fire of being behind the stick, calling the matches, doing that commentary, and
backstage interviews.
Absolutely. And it was just it was, I felt like I was living that calling, and never really cared and put much passion behind ring announcing. And then I get a call from Kevin Lawler. Jerry Lawler's son had started a promotion there in Memphis called Wildfire Wrestling, and first show was at Raleigh Springs Mall in Memphis, Tennessee. And he said, I need a ring announcer. Would you be willing to be my ring announcer? So we worked out an agreement and was with him for a couple of years until he stopped running shows. And it was that was the huge learning for me as a ring announcer, just how much of an impact I could have away from the commentary desk. So I finally developed that I can do commentary or I can do ring announcing. Either way, I'm going to be just as happy because my voice is getting used and I'm being able to interact with the fans and create some excitement along the way. And then along comes Dustin Starr and Championship Wrestling from Memphis. Make that phone call and it's like, hey, I need I need some voiceover work. Can you help me out? Sure. So we work out a deal, and 2 years later, the syndicated programming's a hit. I need a ring announcer. So we worked out a great deal there.
I'm glad you're part of them because they deserve somebody like you.
I appreciate that.
You know, that's you get, you know, and I'm sure how many fans say, hey, you're great on the mic. You know, you don't get that a lot of shows. You know, people don't say that all the time. You're probably like, oh, these people don't they're going to hate me. Okay. You know, you get on the mic that one time. Yeah, you choke, you know. Well, what was have you ever did like a show where you just had like the mic just doesn't work? And you know how that, yes.
I hope you don't want specific names because there's plenty to choose from.
No.
I don't say that disparagingly. Yeah. I do not say that in a negative way. There's you can only afford what you can afford, and I get that. And not everybody can afford a mic setup or a sound system.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you just try what you can do. And the thing I will tell anyone, if you're going to have a ring announcer, if you're not, regardless if you do PA commentary or not, if you're going to have a ring announcer, at least make sure the ring announcer is able to hear themselves, because it makes the difference between us using our diaphragm and our vocal cords. If I'm having to strain to hear myself as I'm doing introduction,
or with the earpiece in the back of the ear, or you know,
that makes a huge difference not only in the sound but the voice that's being used, and that can create a lot of strain if the announcer can't hear themselves. So just for any promoters out there.
Yeah, it's always like, oh shit, what do I do now? Well, I'm gonna have to talk over the crowd tonight, and you know, and that's happened. You got to do that sometimes, you know. Hey, I remember going to a show for Combat Zone Wrestling. We were at an outdoor, you know, Combat Zone a tournament. You know, the tournament
CCW,
at a DJ's farm, and or no, actually, it was actually at the Voorhees at one of the buildings, but the sound system was so horrible. So guess what? The guy Larry Legend, the announcer Larry Legend, who's very popular, somebody had a megaphone. So he was using the megaphone as the microphone the whole night. Hey, improvise.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
Yeah, I know, and because you're taping in front of a live crowd, and you know you're pay-per-viewing this, you might as well get something out of it. You know,
I'll tell you, and I say this from a respectful standpoint. You know, things that we might not show the embarrassment, but it is kind of embarrassing sometimes when you don't have the equipment that you need to make the brand successful. And it's not so much that it doesn't just hurt the performer; it hurts the promotion too. And I don't say that in a bad way, but you know, if for example, if you can't afford something, you know, maybe try to find a suitable alternative. Do you really need that many lights, or do you need a good sound system? So it's kind of like, because you could have all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, I know. You go to some of those little tiny you see that on. Yeah, you look on you look on YouTube, or you see some of these. You hear about these promotions, and they're just like, oh. Yeah.
Let me give you a good example. So the show there in Memphis that I'm a part of, there's no lights, there's no smoke, there's no pyro, but the fans still cheer, they still get rowdy, they still get loud, they still chant during the matches because they enjoy the product that's being put on. And of course they know that they're going to be able to hear themselves over Dustin and Maria's commentary. So even if you don't have a TV show, think about what you're spending on it and try to maneuver what's going to make sense. One thing I'll talk about that's going back to the embarrassing comment. Yeah. Frank Martin, who really good friend of mine now, was at my wedding a couple of years ago as a groomsman, was a rival promoter at one time. So I'd mentioned to you about burning some bridges when I was Frank was running the Royal Wrestling Alliance in Jonesboro. And Jonesboro was a hotbed during the 70s and the 80s for pro wrestling through that area. And he opened up a promotion there at the a place he called the King's Sportatorium, and robbed our fans. We were pulling a couple of hundred every week up to that point. And then he brings in Rodney Mack. He brings in Jazz as his trainers. They're not just there wrestling every week. They're training guys and gals to come up in the business, to learn the craft. So it was essentially a training school that had a television show, and it worked really well because they were drawing 300, 400, even 500 people a week in this building for television, and a 400 or 500 person crowd for television is amazing. Especially you get that seating just right and that lighting just right. It's massive. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I remember walking up to the curtain. It was 5 till bell time. It was 6:55. And I walk up to the curtain. We had a little entranceway. And I peeked through the curtain and I counted 12 people. 12. I was so sick to my stomach and so embarrassed because I'm not saying I'm not blaming them. They did the right thing. But it was just like, I want to go home. I don't even want to be here. God, that feeling of embarrassment and just because it's not that fun whenever you go from a couple hundred people a week down to 12.
That's not good. Yeah, you're losing. You're losing because you're promoting. The promoter's trying to promote it, and then you 12 people, but then you're like, this guy just ripped me off, right? Like I'm not gonna get paid tonight.
Yeah, there wasn't. Look, at my first 2 years in the business, I didn't get paid a dime. Yeah, and even then, I was getting paid. I think up to that point,
$5. $5.
Yeah, $10 to come up there every week, and I wasn't even making hardly minimum wage at that point, so I was losing money going to these shows.
Yeah, it's a shame, But now you learn. But you got the good things now, and you look forward. Yeah,
you got to pay your dues, and you still continue to pay dues even long after you're either breaking even or making a little cash on the side.
Yeah, you do. He's as a fan and a promote. I help out once in a while. I love helping out. I just like that. Get my hands. It's fun to help. Not getting paid, just to help. It's great. Like be crowd control. Just keep an eye on things. Because things do get out of hand, that.
Oh yeah, some rowdy fans, especially here in the South. I don't know about the Northeast, but I'm sure
they are. Yeah. Right now with that rowdiness with the Cardone stuff, that Long Island guy, taking that belt to Disney World and rubbing it in his wife's face, and it's making us sick. But it's a big time for wrestling. That. It's big time. They're going to be actually in Chicago pretty soon with AEW right there too as well. So it's like,
oh Lord, here's the rumors. Here's the rumor for a certain individual being in their hometown going to join AEW.
Yeah, CM Punk. Yeah, or he could be on a Game Changer show. You never know. You don't know. Surprise. Darby Allin. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said Darby Allin is a former Game Changer wrestler from way back because I'll tell you what, he came to a show one time and we didn't know who he was, Darby Allin, just this guy on the independent scene, and I was like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna get him on my podcast before he's famous. I was like, that's so cool. Just to, what I mean? You get these people are like Marco Stunt, just like these people are just making their way in.
Yeah, this young guy from Mississippi. Who in a million years you wouldn't have thought would have got a contract to work for a big promotion with a national television program. And I'm not saying that to discredit Marco, and because I only say that disclaimer because there's something out there somewhere.
His father's he's a part of wrestling too. His papa, he does some commentating. He'll get on the mic and commentate or be a fan in the crowd. To yell at the wrestlers. It's great.
Yeah. And I, seeing the opportunity that AEW has provided to so many independent wrestlers that, giving them that opportunity to step up to that next stage and show off their talent and give them an opportunity that, maybe they wouldn't have gotten elsewhere, not shooting a shot at the WWE because, they're a different product with a different brand. And I've compared this even in my TikTok live last night is that, AEW is not a publicly traded company. They're not. So they don't have a responsibility to shareholders. They don't have a responsibility to make sure that, that they're seeing record profit numbers. The WWE is a publicly traded company. So they have a responsibility to not only the board of directors, but to the shareholders. And that makes a huge difference in the type of product and the type of individuals that they're going to bring into the promotion or that company to work for them. And it can have an echoing effect on their stock. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that goes into that decision-making process that I think as wrestling fans, sometimes we forget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, merchandise is the one seller too. You think
Yeah.
about it. I mean, what AEW is starting these figures that I don't even have them yet. I still don't have a Joey Janela or a Jungle Boy or the Ortiz, or I got to get those though. I'm gonna pick them up.
Maybe your local Walmart will have one.
Yeah. Or if I call or if I just call up my friends, hey, you know what, toy collector, hey, just get me this guy, or go to the flea market, right? Like we used to do back in the day. Whatever, I have done that in years, man. That's just the one thing. I think this pandemic killed me. You always would just go to a store or go out. I haven't done that this summer at all. Gone to the flea market and just look at the figures and memorabilia. What's your big thing to collect these days? Like, are you a fan of wrestling collecting or any kind of item? Yeah.
I don't actively seek any particular thing. If JR ever put one of his hats out there for sale, I'd probably try to buy it. He'd probably be one of the very few, or Howard Finkel's tie, or a microphone that Mean Gene Okerlund had. Some of those things like that. I might stick a couple deals out there for.
Yeah, like the megaphone from Jimmy Hart, or
Fun fact. Jimmy Rhodes, who was my best man at my wedding, huge wrestling fan, huge wrestling collector. Him and our friend Betty Butler, who lives down in Newport, have traveled the road many miles to some shows. And Jimmy is an avid collector and he sold some stuff over the years. But the last I checked, I don't know if he still has it, but he had a WrestleMania verified Jimmy Hart megaphone and has a lot of Jimmy Hart's jackets and and for him, it's not about hogging it all. It's about preserving. And I think I'm hoping one day
that's like that show on WWE's doing, that, finding all the relics of it's amazing.
That's where I'm hoping, and I'll divert to that in just a second. I'm hoping one day that we'll see Jimmy on television with one of those key artifacts that the WWE is looking for to add to their collection, not just to give him some exposure, but to be able to say that, somebody in our area was preserving history and is, working to make sure that other generations get to see the same thing that we've got to see growing up. So Jason Ingler was recently on WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. You remember the episode Paul Bearer's Urn?
Mm-hmm.
So Jason he was a manager here in Northeast Arkansas. He lives out
no kidding.
out west now. And he was Mortimer Douglas was his wrestling manager name. And it was such a fun play on Paul Bearer. I mean, the same face makeup, the same attitude. I mean, he had his own little twist on there because this guy's like almost 6 foot tall. So, I mean, he's taller than Paul Bearer was. So obviously a big difference there. But it was interesting to see just how much of a relationship he had with Paul Bearer outside of the wrestling world. Both of them, licensed morticians, both, I think, attended the same mortuary school. So that was
crazy.
Connection.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And Jason, just one of the most amazing, nicest guys I've ever got to work with. So sad when he left the wrestling world, but things happen and we find other ways in life that bring us meaning and joy. And I think being able to bring people closure, and not that brings them joy, but bringing people closure and giving them that comfort that they need at their most vulnerable time is something he's been very good at. Very good at.
Yeah. Yeah. So I collect, figures, the relics. I collect like odd and end wrestling figures, from Japan to, I find like the hard to find Onitas or the new, the ones that are just like relics, or like a Bruiser Brody from like, the original WWF. I found one of them. I was like, this is cool. Like, and also like I went to a flea market one time and I found the Jesse the Body Army dolls.
Oh, wow.
So my buddy actually, after I bought one, had another one in somebody's storage shed.
It's amazing what people have stored away in their attics and shops and sheds that you just, I mean, it's crazy to think how much of that stuff is stored away.
Plus, which is really cool. By day, I'm a garbage man, so you're always finding something, right?
Yeah, finding somebody else's treasure.
Yeah. I found a whole bag of wrestlers one day. I cleaned them up and gave them to my nephew.
Wow.
But, actually one time my guy on the metal truck, he gave me a chair. WWF, I guess it was a pay-per-view chair. Mankind.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mankind. The thick cushion, man, beat up, but I kept it. So isn't that cool? I'll take a picture of it and show you one day.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the two things that I do have on display, I've got, of course, some pictures that I've taken at Impact Wrestling, like I showed you. That is one, collectible thing that I have that I will keep forever.
Yeah.
But I have was a gift from Jimmy. It is a picture of Hogan, tearing that signature Hogan shirt. It's got the piece of the shirt that's in a collector card with another card that Hogan signed, and it's all matted and framed. And then I've got a poster from the release of Memphis Heat, which was produced by Sharam. I can't remember Sharam's last name. An amazing documentary over Memphis wrestling. If you haven't seen it, it's available on Apple Movies or Apple iTunes. I forget what it's called. But Memphis Heat, of course, it's signed by Lawler, by Dundee. I've seen Hart a couple of times since then. Never gotten a signature on it because I've just forgotten because it's hanging up on my wall. And another prized possession that I have is right there. You've probably seen it out of the corner of your eye there. Produced a documentary back in 2013 or 14, finished it in 2016. Didn't know anything about film work, didn't know anything about lighting, sound, cameras. Really, from a quality standpoint, it's not going to win any awards, I can tell you that. But the story I wanted to capture about Bobby Eaton, he's an amazing guy, had several opportunities.
Let me ask you if it's out there. Is it still out there? Is it on?
It is. It's available on my YouTube channel.
Okay. I'll check that later.
64,000 views and climbing each day. But it's an amazing story. I talked with Jim Cornette, James J. Dillon, both Jerry and Jeff Jarrett, the late Kamala Harris, superstar Bill Dundee, Tony Falk, just some amazing guys in Memphis that worked with Bobby, that shared these great stories of, just Bobby's kindness and that golden heart, which, I think most people know by now that he lost his wife to cancer here a couple of weeks ago. And it tears your heart out because she's my mom and dad's age. So, I mean, way too young to be falling to that illness. But that documentary is just, it's my favorite one that I'll ever produce. My buddy Jazz Kumar in the UK produced the graphics art for that. So it's going to stay on my wall until this place burns down or I move.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Just collect, it's just fun to collect little things. Like, it really is. I mean, I have Ricky the Dragon Steamboat magazine, with the Macho Man in it, or Paul Orndorff's actually on the cover. So do I still have it? Give me 1 second. We see something here.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back.
Yeah, we're going to come out with all our merchandise and we're going to see if we have something valuable in our collections here, folks. My God, I could start a wrestling thrift shop, a museum, There's just so much stuff out there, man. It's amazing. But there it is.
Oh, wow. And autographed at that.
Yeah. Ricky, Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. Shout out to him. Man, there was a guy who was a great wrestler. Growing up watching him, just the way he presented himself,
Absolutely.
But yeah, Ricky the Dragon, the original. Cool to see him. It was this, local show in Pennsylvania. I was like, all right. I've done conventions. There was actually, what was it, like 2000? I forget what year, but went to Pennsylvania one year with my dad, and we went to a Wrestle Reunion 2 at the Valley Forge, whatever that place is, lodge. And Funk was there. You name it, everybody was there. They actually had a card that night with Bobby the Brain Heenan in the ring.
Wow.
Just to think back, like looking, but he was really, when he was thin, losing his voice. Yeah. And just to see like Bobby Fulton or, like everybody, Matt Hardy, to everybody, you name it, was there. Just a fun time wrestling. Mick Foley, of course. Good old Foley.
Yeah, it's some of the golden era guys have unfortunately left us a little too soon, but the world of wrestling is a physical sport, and the body does take a toll after years of falling and taking beating.
Yeah, I know. I always think of my buddy Balls Mahoney, East Coast, and Chris Candido, every day. Two original Jersey Shore wrestlers that really made a name for themselves on the main stage, which was really cool. But I became good friends with them after, and which was really awesome, still to this day. But they just released his book, Chris Candido they released his book. Shout out to John Cosper for doing that. Yeah. The story of Candido, his brother Johnny, the wrestler. I miss, he was a Cardi wrestler too, so Cardi wrestling was big around here, Cardi wrestling. Those were always the good days of wrestling now, But what else we got? What are you currently into music wise? What's your music you listen? I know. I like to switch it up. See, this is not one of those boring podcasts where you just right.
Oh God, yeah. I'm pretty much an eclectic person. I don't necessarily have one particular genre that I'll listen to. I'll listen to everything from your mom's gospel music to to jazz to rock and roll to pop country. Pop country, just one of the very few things, one of the only things I won't listen to is rap. I just never really. Let me back up. Anything pre-1990s rap, I'll listen to. Anything after it starts getting into Tupac and things of that nature, it really starts to blur the line. If that's
the drugs and this and that, shootings and this and that. Now it's all nuts. Yeah, even country rappers even out there doing stuff. I'm like, come on, this is not true.
And to each their own. But for me, it's like
you go back to the 90s, 80s, and
love 60s, classic 90s music.
60s to Elvis to you name it. Johnny Cash.
I've got 3 stations that are. I've got more than 3 in my radio that are programmed. The first one is 90s on 9, because I love the Generation X music. Even though I'm an early millennial. I'm a Gen X music fan, so any of the music from the 90s, whether it's pop or country or rock and roll, really love that type of music. Then I've got you're gonna laugh. Some people listening to this are gonna laugh, but I love Willie's Roadhouse. I like classic country music.
Nothing wrong with that.
It is it's what I was raised on. I had 2 parents who sang country music, locally in some of the halls and parlors and whatnot, and so classic country just kind of was what I was raised on. And then, of course, any kind of Christian music. I really, sometimes I need a separation from just something to boost my spirits, and that really helps. But really, 90s on 9 is what I stick to a lot of the times.
Oh my God, there was this for the Jericho and Nick Gage match. I'm gonna have to send you the link. Some guy called into the station, the gospel station, saying how Christopher, I can't. You'll have to hear it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You're like, oh man, why is this guy calling this podcast? Just to tell about his friend Jericho. I'm like, oh boy, this is not going to be good. It's like he's telling one of those gospel stories. It's like, but I don't think anybody caught it though. Like it didn't really trend. My friend's a producer. One of my friends is a producer. He found out from somebody. He got it. Found out from somebody, I guess, that marketed it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, these guys are going to do the podcast. Oh, what's this about? But yeah, I'll send that to you later. Something from Twitter as well.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But yeah, like me, like I said, 90s to today, you name it, I've listened to it. Johnny Cash sitting on my wall, actually behind me. Actually, can we see it? Look, see, collecting things actually from Memphis. Hold on. Where is it? There it is.
There it is, Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash on the wall with all my
And Elvis Presley. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. I probably screwed us up. Wait. Oh, look at that. Back.
If it fits, it sits.
It does. Yeah. There we go. Oh. Just touch the camera and bam. Isn't that great? Just hang a sheet up and that's it, man. That's all you need for a podcast.
I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a green screen on that side over there that stays up 24/7 when I'm shooting video content.
You know what? I don't even use mine. I haven't used it. I gotta mess around with it. I think I probably have so much fun just playing with it. Because actually the StreamYard has it in quality, into the actually product here, so it's amazing. So I could do stuff like disappear if I want. But I'm more of a just talker, just have fun, do my podcast, get people like you on and other people, and just love hearing stories, and talk wrestling. Yeah,
it's interesting. I know tonight, and I'm going to have to go back and listen to it because I missed it. I missed the notification, but we have Dustin and I have a mutual. I could guess I call him colleague, not working for Championship Wrestling for Memphis, but produces a podcast that goes over the weekly show and kind of gives everybody their opinion on the matches, the show itself, which really gives you a good insight. Things that from a fan's perspective, you learn to take out the parts that is not going to make any sense from the actual valuable feedback. That's okay. All right, I see now what they saw, so maybe we do need to twist this camera in a different direction, or change up the setting, the lighting, or a specific, conversation that was had. So, he was meeting with Dustin Starr tonight and talking about some hard-hitting conversations. Memphis Wrestling has had a huge history behind it, all the way from Jerry Jarrett, who started with the Continental Wrestling Association, CWA. Excuse me. And he was the founding father of modern day Memphis wrestling. So, leaving from him to the USWA to Power Pro, and I may get these out of order: Power Pro, Memphis Championship Wrestling, Memphis Wrestling, Channel 5, all of those promotions that have, come and gone over the years have added to what was the foundation that Jerry Jarrett had built. A wall here, a window there, a piece of the roof here, some of the struts that are needed to hold the building together. And Championship Wrestling for Memphis, I look at as that next piece, not to overshadow, not to overstep anything that came before, but to add more to the history, to pay, homage to those who came before, to Dundee, to Lawler, to King Cobra, to the Jarrett,
to all the legends and all the greats.
Absolutely. And that's not because we want to be legends ourselves, but because we understand that Memphis wrestling itself has a cult following. There are die-hard Memphis wrestling fans.
That's good. That's what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is I don't want to say a religion, but it is almost held in that regard because there's such a passion for it. And I love the fans because of that. And that's why many of the performers, the wrestlers, myself, Dustin, Maria, the commentators, the referees, the ring crew, the security, the staff, all the people who are putting this product together, the production crew, the cameramen, this is for those 10 years from now. If this show is off air and is no longer running, this is for somebody to be able to pick up and continue that legacy, paying tribute to the generations before, remembering all of those who came before, all the way from when Jerry Jarrett started Memphis Wrestling to the time that somebody else picks up that torch and continues carrying it on. And that's what we want to do. We want to continue that legacy. And there's a lot of people, unfortunately, I say a lot of people, there's some people that don't want to see the promotion succeed. And that's very sad and it's very disheartening, you know.
Yeah, I know how that is. I know how wrestling, yep. People just like we said, stuff happens sometimes in businesses. And
it does. And people get a bad taste in their mouth because of certain things that are said. And are some of the things taken out of context? Absolutely. I believe so. I'm not the one who has said of the things that have been said, but at the same time, I understand the mind behind it. I understand the reasoning for the conversation to go that route. You know, I have the utmost respect. All of us. I don't think there's anybody in Championship Wrestling that does not have the utmost respect for those who have come before us in that territory from Memphis Wrestling, from the days of CWA till now. Wait a minute. I hear my voice. What was that?
I was just clicked on TikTok by accident. How random is that? Huh? You're pretty. This was the Bill Dundee one.
Oh, which one was that? Say that again. Oh yeah. That was that's been a minute. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Tribute to superstar Bill Dundee. My goodness, that's way down on my TikTok feed, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah. I'm pretty. I like doing stupid stuff too. Yeah. I'm pretty. Well, I added you. You probably saw me. Oh, we added each other. Now we're friends, so it's gonna be great. But how could I go about? All right, what's the trick on behind doing announcing one of these TikToks? Let me do it right now. Okay, like if I was to pull up TikTok, how is it? Or let's do it right now, like a duet. Like if we were to do a duet, or you can do it with me on the air. Like just announce how do I do it? Like it could be any. All right, let's see.
So are you asking me how I do the introduction piece, or is it just,
or like how would I do it? You know, how do I
effects that I add, or you just
yeah.
So the one thing that I've pulled pieces from Tony Chimmel, Howard Finkel, Michael Buffer, Justin Roberts. I steal pieces from them to kind of make my own style, and I try to listen on just, you know, how the reverb sounds and, you know, is it sounding okay? So I adjust my pitch, adjust my tone. You know, for example, you're listening to the Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast.
Let's do a TikTok. Let's do an introduction to the Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast. All right. Ready? How do we do it? Okay. So you have the effect. I don't have the effect here, but let's just do a TikTok right now. All right. Check this out, fans. We're doing a live TikTok on Facebook. You know, we're going to do something. All right, I guess I'll start, or you want to start on your end?
I know you let me know when you're recording, and I'll let it go.
All right, hold on. Should I just face the camera towards you then? Right? Yeah. Let's see here. Now it's us. Okay, it's facing me, or should I just face it towards you? See, I don't know how
you want it to show up, man. There you go, selfie mode. There you go.
Huh?
Selfie mode. There you go.
No, let's see. Let's see here. Where are we? I can't get us on camera. That's hard, huh?
It can be tricky if you're not careful.
All right. There's the camera. Ready?
Ready when you are.
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast. Right here, where podcasts are heard across the nation. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good. So,
and I guess as you go along,
yeah, that sounds good. We'll edit that later. Yeah.
So I think as people just go along, you learn the nuances, you learn what sounds good, what doesn't sound good. You get feedback from your colleagues, the performers, the wrestlers, the staff who are like, hey, you should probably do this or
wait a minute.
this.
I could do it right now. Hold on a minute. Let's see. Do I have it? Yes. Wait a minute. I got a karaoke machine. Hold on.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. See?
There it is. So all
ladies and gentlemen.
See, I can't. I don't have the vibe though. You know, I could do it. I have the DJ.
Let's get ready to rumble tonight.
You know, like I could rock the house, and you know,
you got to project from your diaphragm, not from your vocal cords. So if you're gonna dig down deep, getting that kind of that the Michael Buffer, let's get ready to rumble. He starts out really deep. I can't get that low.
Let's get ready to rumble.
No, see, that's like
That was
it's
a
hard.
question mark.
Yeah.
It just you play with what sounds good. You find that style. You hear what sounds good. Try to imitate that. And I often get some comments on those TikToks about being a Justin Roberts 2.0 or sounding too much like Greg Hamilton or things of that nature. And I don't take offense to that because those are great guys behind the mic.
They really are.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the ones with a contract, not me. So I'm not taking that to any of as a bad compliment.
What's your next one you're going to be doing this week? Which ones are you going to put out there next? What are you thinking?
I just put out one this evening, and I haven't checked to see how many
people have responded.
Yeah, so I did Mr. McMahon this morning. Mr. McMahon's intro. I just published Ronda Rousey. That vote was really interesting.
That's good.
It was. Yeah, it was. I did Thunder Rosa. It was a suggestion. Pinned her against Ronda Rousey to see. Excuse me, what the fans wanted to hear. 75-25. So Ronda Rousey posted that this.
It's fun. It's so much fun. Yeah, it's just fun. It's for fun. People don't realize, also.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I know. You probably want to do a Marco stunt. Have you done that yet?
I haven't, and I would encourage anybody listening, if there's a particular one that you want to request, go to the Q&A tab on my profile and suggest it. I'd love to, pin that up on the video and let the fans vote and see which ones they want to hear next. The one that I'm really interested in that I'm holding off on doing. I posted this video yesterday, and it's a contest between Shinsuke Nakamura and Goldberg. Those were two suggestions that I saw. Quite prolific. Goldberg more than Shinsuke, but right now, at the time of this broadcast, it's 454 votes Goldberg, 401 votes Shinsuke Nakamura. So very tight, very close. And I want to leave that up for maybe a couple of more days before I make a decision on who I'm going to do next, because Shinsuke Nakamura, that's going to be fun to do.
He's funny. He's a great character for wrestling. He really comes to, he's what AEW needs is like the comedy of wrestling,
Very animated, I think is what we're.
Mm-hmm. I mean, him, of course, Colt Cabana, and a podcaster as well. Great guy there. He just always on hammering it up with anybody to get his stuff out. Sammy Guevara, have you done? Yeah, no,
I haven't, and that was another request that I had that I put up on the voting block. So I've gotten so many requests for WWE, AEW, Impact, independent stars to do their intros. So as I see them become more prolifically mentioned in the comments, I'll put. Matter of fact, I've got a list here. I put them down on my list. I've got Braun Strowman, Dean Ambrose, HBK, Finn Balor, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy is going to be fun if it wins.
Oh, that's Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy, yeah.
Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, you just draw that out. Hopefully I didn't blow your eardrums out.
No.
But I throw two up there that I think are going to be really contested on who's gonna win, just so that way it's not so one-sided.
Right.
But I'll keep up with that list and I'll get the draft saved. So whoever wins, I'll pull that draft out and do the intro. But right now, I'm only kind of trying to stay on some WWE if possible.
It's like because you did Cena. Yeah, you just did Cena, and you want to just The Undertaker. Yeah.
That video is really what kicked it off, though. I mean, it's got 679,000 views at this point.
Also for being like a voiceover, it's like doing cartoon voices and just like, it's great. It's like you could do whoever you want. Like say, David, do your Macho Man for me right now. Oh, David, you want to hear David's Macho Man? Okay. Ready? I love doing impersonations, and I do a lot of that fun stuff. You have to have fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's the Macho Man Randy Savage right here. Yeah.
That's good.
I rise to the top, drop the elbow, beefy, spicy, yeah. But if you want to go, if you want to go a different route,
Mick Foley, yes.
and you want to get some pain, bang bang, nice day.
I loved how much he would put into that voice.
Mr.
Mr.
Sacco,
McMahon. Yeah.
Mr. Sacco. Yeah, that'd be fun to do. That gives you a chance to practice. Like, who wants to hear Mick Foley Sacco? Like, oh God, make a puppet up, make a puppet. Oh my God, the sock and just do.
I loved that.
Yes.
Sorry, I had a mosquito flying around here.
Yeah.
Arkansas, that's our national or our state bird is the mosquito. I loved that segment with Mr. McMahon and Mankind.
The birthday episode. Yes.
We've got a surprise for you, Mr. Sacco.
Mr. Sacco. So now that'd be a good one for you to do. I bet you would get some funny laughs if you had a Sacco, just put a sock with the eyes,
So one of the things, and speaking of impressions, there's one that I do in the locker room. So Derek King, who is one of our performers at Championship Wrestling Memphis, him and I have been on the road together before. I managed him when I was doing my manager persona. I was an attorney for Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. I'll let you think about that for a second. Do we cheat them and how? I was his wrestling attorney and worked a couple of shows. I say several shows with him. Had an angle. We went to a few towns with Brian Christopher as the opposite, the late Brian Christopher. And
yes,
in the locker room, Derek and I would converse about the match and just try to pass time. And Derek, had a unique opportunity during Power Pro's era to be in that developmental territory. And I respect Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, so much. And just, his rags to riches story is incredible to begin with, growing up in a trailer park and, battling an abusive stepfather and making himself into the tycoon of wrestling essentially is a success story. Regardless of, we won't get into the politics of how, who, what, when, where, and all that. But I really respect him for where he's at now. And I love to impersonate Mr. McMahon. And so whenever we're in the locker room, if anytime I see Derek, shut up.
You just gotta get in your head. Yeah. That's great.
When he was interviewing Draws. Draws comes in, he can puke on command, and Mr. McMahon said,
"You're gonna make me puke." he's gonna puke.
And it just and I love it. I loved the Mr. McMahon character. It was just I loved to hate him, but I loved him as a character, and I wish he was on television more. We know it kind of won't happen these days. Because his Stone Cold's not around, his arch nemesis isn't wrestling.
Jackass. What? What? Hell yeah! Or Mr. E.T. God, that character's that's great voice though too. That guy has it down packed.
Oh God, what was his name?
Who is he?
Jason, it's Jason something. I remember he was on WWE television.
Jason Saint? No, it's Jason something.
You were on. I think you're on the right track.
Google it.
Really quick. That's what I'm doing. Because he is amazing. Just
how he got the voices of everybody. And there was
Jason Sensation. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, it's Jason Sensation. I was close. Yeah.
Man. He was great. Undertaker, HBK, Stone Cold, Steve Austin,
Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart.
Yes, Ric Flair had him down to a T. And it's always fun in the wrestling locker rooms when you're with some of the guys and the gals, and you get to joke around and have some fun.
It's like Jay Lethal when he did Ric Flair.
Which was incredible, absolutely incredible.
It was great because he would do that, or the Black Machismo character. Just really cut and. My God, that was always fun to see.
And even looking at, the one thing I would tell everybody, if you're watching and you're just a consumer of WWE or AEW and just stuff that's on television, you're really missing out because there's a lot of great promotions that don't have television that are there in your area that are that are sending the next generation of stars through those promotions.
Doors. Yeah, through the
Uh,
doors.
Yeah, and it's you're going to be able to see some of these amazing promos from these guys. You're going to be able to see not only the great in-ring action from some of the wrestlers, but I also think back to some of the impersonations and not in a bad way. Some people copycat I think is given a bad name in terms of wrestling because how many Nature Boys have there been? You had Nature Boy Buddy Landell, you had Nature Boy Ric Flair, you had for example, how many wrestlers have worn a mask to the ring? First time a wrestler wore a mask, I'm sure everybody was like, well, he's the only one that can wear a mask. Then everybody starts wearing a mask. So,
There's
things are
one. There's Executioner one. There's Executioner two, 3, 4.
That doesn't it doesn't take away from, for example, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. He will always be known as the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Woo, styling, profiling, limousine. Yeah, but what? I always do these just like go on a trip or something, or you go to a store sometimes and just walk around. It's like I have to do this in front of my friends or just embarrass myself, just walk and just do a voice and people look at you like, what the hell are you doing? It's great. It's great.
Now, if you're talking to yourself, that could be a problem.
Yeah, right. But no, you know what? I had a stare. Actually, I wore a Bruiser Brody's to actually coming out of a Target store one time. Right. I was walking, one of the people, actually, was it a fan? Yeah. I was leaving the store. I had a Bruiser Brody's shirt. They didn't know anything about this guy. They said, is that Charles Manson on your shirt? I was like, no, this is a wrestler. What do you think? Come on. But I like stories, just crazy interactions, with people. It's just like, you don't know. You got to make up stuff as long as you go too, But let's get back to talking ring announcers, like you were saying, let's Justin Roberts, that voice is it's pretty good.
He's the voice of a generation, really. I mean, look how long he worked for the WWE. We had Lillian Garcia, who was primarily the Raw ring announcer for a lot of the time that I was watching. I know we had Tony Chimmel, and I know I'm forgetting one more.
The guy from TNA. Was the guy from TNA? What was his name?
I want to say it's David. Of course, I'd forget it.
No, the other guy from TNA. God, they would do a lot of house. They'd go around and do the house shows. He'd go, oh, what the hell is his name? He used, when TNA was just TNA.
Yeah,
they did their house shows, and the other guy was on commentator, and he does the shop. The TNA sells the merchandise.
Yeah, he had the beard. I think I know who you're talking about now. I can't remember his name, but those ring announcers are. I hate when people, even on my TikTok, I don't reply to them because it's not worth the time and effort. But I hate when people compare and say, I've had a couple say, I wish you could replace, Greg Hamilton, or I wish, you could replace. I'm not
that person.
No, and not just that. Even if I was stuck up and felt that I was better, and I'm humble enough to know that there's better voices than me out there. I would never want to ride that train to the station, if I hope I can replace you and take your job, because that's not healthy and it's not a good way of doing business. Yeah, it's not to say if a position didn't open up and I was offered, I wouldn't, consider it. I wouldn't take it, but not at the expense of,
doing what you do,
displacing someone else. My company that I work for now takes very good care of me and pays me very well. Not on the wrestling side, personal side, but also wrestling side. So, it's one of those that, opportunity given and presents itself. We'll cross that bridge when we have to. But for now, I'll settle with just trying to get exposure and get my name across the desk of somebody who matters.
That's why you got to get yourself, like on a podcast. Like I was like, all right, this guy sounds interesting. Let me get him on here. Let's talk wrestling, and just that's the way to do it. Advertise, just help promote wrestling and your local branch and wrestling everywhere. you know, any kind of wrestling, and the LGBT as well. We have to, you know, we're strongly proud of that to support too the LGBT community, you know, as well in the wrestling world.
You know, it's going back
Yeah.
and looking at some of the other announcers that have come and gone over the years. I've got a Facebook friend. We've never met in person, but Jeremiah Gallegos is a ring announcer that worked for Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling, down in Houston. He's actually boxing, ring announcing now. So he's working for DAZN, I think is the name of that promotion. Big boxing promotion. And he's phenomenal. My God, is he phenomenal? The bass voice that he has commands so much presence. It shakes. I mean, if you're in a stadium and you hear it, it's going to shake, give you the shakes. But good Lord, where did that bass come from? But just incredible. And you know, there's so many that I've ran into through the years that I've heard or ran into in person that I would absolutely love to see them be given an opportunity. Yeah.
And you know what? An opportunity is always is a gift, you know, is a thing to give to people, and it's like the newer generation want to try it. There's some pretty good young kids that are learning the business now too as well. You know, for any kind of promotion, independent wise as well. You know.
Yeah, find a good wrestling school if you want to get involved in the wrestling business. If you want to be a wrestler, you know, like in Memphis, you know, we have our wrestling school at Championship Wrestling for Memphis. Go to the website championshipwrestlingmemphis.com. Sign up for classes. You've got King Cobra, the legendary man who pinned Jerry the King Lawler. I believe it was 1984. There in Memphis for the world title. Was the first African American world heavyweight champion there in Memphis, which is huge for the African American community.
Yeah,
that's
what we always say. You know, just get these kids. You know, go take a seminar, take a seminars. You know, step into that's something I want to just go. I need to go do and just check it out, and you know, get behind the scenes. I can do that with my local promotion. I'm going to do that, and just to see, you know, what I can help improve also.
Yeah, and be open to my VP who who I work with every single day had to remind me about constructive feedback, because you get comfortable and you think that, you know, you're in a position where you're not going to make mistakes, and you end up making mistakes, and you take it really hard because you know, you've gotten to that comfortability to where you're not used to making those mistakes anymore. So when you do, they're a lot more powerful to you, not necessarily your employer. Though, and okay, no big deal, you made a mistake, just move on from it. So, and the same thing applies in the wrestling world. If you're going to one of these seminars, if you're going to a training school, and somebody gives you constructive
or
feedback,
local radio station, or you know, just
anywhere,
the filming industry, or like, you know, that's how, right, the, you know, broadcasting, that's how. Did you go to school for that at all?
I didn't actually.
Really?
No, all wrestling, every bit of it. Everything I have learned has been through pro wrestling or has been through self-taught. I've never been to any kind of formal training for voice work or television work. All of that really, I will say that the biggest advice I ever got was from my former broadcast partner, John Steele, who, God bless him, he's currently battling some severe MS and in Missouri. Just really great guy. And Harvey Whippleman was my last commentator partner I had, and Bruno taught me so much about not just your presence, but what it would take to get there. You know, for me, I haven't always pushed it to want to go there, and not from a lack of willingness, but just from a lack of trying. Other things happen in life. Your road shifts, your direction shifts. So things
take that break sometimes. Yep, you got to take that break sometimes, you know.
And you know, Dustin Starr, for example, pulled me aside and at our last TV taping on Sunday, and you know, kind of recognized a little bit of that confidence issue there. Things happen, and your confidence kind of takes a blow, because you're your world's worst critic. You are your world's worst critic, because you'll get inside your own head and start freaking out about things that don't even matter. And Dustin pulled me aside, and we had a great conversation, and I respect him a lot for that, because he did it in a way that was out of respect and out of you know, not just an employer, but from a friend's perspective. Like, hey, look, you know, this is your stage. This is when you're up there and you're talking. This is you. So,
and you're teaching people, you know. It's every day's a learning day, behind a microphone.
Absolutely.
Well, let's call it a night. What do you think?
I definitely need to refill my Coke glass. I'm down to the
Okay.
last sip. Last sip.
Well, I'm on water now on my iced Starbucks. Okay. Starbucks is the drink of my nemesis. But hey, I said I want to say thank you so much, Terrence, for coming on. Let's do this again, man. Anytime you ever want to come back, let's just cut the shit. I love it.
Hey, I
It's
appreciate the
all.
opportunity. Anytime you're down in Memphis, anytime that you want to
I
come,
wish I was. Yeah,
holler and
absolutely.
we'll make it happen.
Yeah, jump on the mic, right? Hey, I did. Oh my god, I had the worst experience. I actually, I did a fundraiser show, and I announced my friend's name, the wrong name, dude.
I've done that before.
Huh?
I've done
Yeah,
that before.
the guy's name is Jeff Nas, not Noise.
Oh,
I,
and then when you catch it, you're like, you can't stop. You're committed at that point.
yeah, whatever, and you just go on. But that's my one time. I have it on tape. I'll send that to you. I'll send that to you next week. Stay tuned, fans. We're gonna be trading now. From 1953. Now at the Coliseum, and but Terrence, I want to say thank you so much for coming on, and do what you do best, and keep on getting those voices out there to the ring. Do what you do best in the ring. And
I appreciate it.
inside and outside the ring, and TikTok as well. TikTok is where it's at. It's amazing what we have going. If whatever got TikTok started it's kind of insane. And if you heard my intro was made by a TikToker.
Hmm.
And doesn't that sound like a Hardy kind of riff to it? Kind of
does.
That's what yeah. So I was like, I'll pay this guy $20 to make a promo. Okay, he did it. Just random. I was like, all right, do this for my podcast, something different. And now I went, oh, that reminds me, I gotta edit our I'm gonna put hashtag in yours, and we'll get this trending, right? Get this one trending, We'll do that.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and
absolutely
look forward to the next opportunity we may have when our paths cross. Maybe this time next year we'll cross paths up in the Northeast. You never know.
We could catch you here. Yep, everywhere. Look at that social media. Look at that, beautiful. I think I have it all there almost.
If you don't, you've got a good majority of it.
Yeah,
I've made things simple. I've made things simple that my media company has the same handle and I had the same handle for my personal brands. That is such the easiest thing in the world. So it doesn't matter what platform.
Exactly. I know this is going where TikTok, Facebook. No, I wish it was TikTok. Can you imagine? We're gonna be one of these days. We'll be integrated. Any of these programs, somebody will come along on Instagram.
Yep.
I'd love for that to happen. But it's on Twitter at least, and that's a great thing. Twitter Live. So let's see how many. I'll share this out and get the audio. I've been so lazy. That's the only thing I've just been lazy on getting my podcast episodes out. On the radio version. The audio. But I get it on YouTube, so that's okay. I'll make up but I'm going to put this one out there. I think start fresh. How's that? With this
sounds good.
But thank you for coming on, and you have a great night, and we'll collab, and you'll get some of that talent my way so we can promote them and go from there and have some more fun.
Well, have a great day, man.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I got no podcast coming up. All right, folks. Isn't that great again for the weekend? Thank you for coming on. Let me close this right here. All right, fans. I want to say thank you to my guest tonight, Terrence Ward from Memphis Championship Wrestling from Memphis. He's a ring announcer. Fans, check him out. Go to his show. Support. Listen to him announce the wrestlers in the ring. Backstage commentary. He does a lot of things, and he's a TikToker. Check him out. He's great. Follow him on all the social media links. I'll put them back up on the screen for you to check out here, and support him and support wrestling, independent wrestling. and professional wrestling, lucha libre, you name it, women's wrestling, LGB wrestling as well, and many more. Thank you, fans, for listening to another episode of the Deathmatch Wrestle podcast. Have a good night, everybody. Till next time.
You can find more Deathmatch Russell podcasts on the following social media: DeathmatchRussell.com, follow on Twitter at DavidNJ32, and on Facebook, Facebook.com/DJDaveNJ32. Find me on Podcast City Network at PodcastCity.net, Facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Hit the like button and share, and on Twitter at PodcastCityNet. You can hear Deathmatch Russell podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes. Hey, wrestling fans, check out BootandHeel.com for all your independent wrestlers, apparel, and more. Also, check out Deathmatch Russell Podcast as well. www.bootandheel.com.